skills of Christian counseling. And today, we'll be talking about counseling techniques. Having seen the different skills of counseling, having seen the different stages involved in the counseling process, today we're going to be looking at the counseling techniques, the techniques that people employ, that professionals employ, that experts employ to carry out counseling. So let me begin by reviewing us on the definition of counseling. We said, what is counseling? We said counseling is a process of talking about and walking through your personal problems with the counselor. So you have an issue, you have a problem, you have some preoccupation, you go to meet a professional, you go to meet a counselor, you go to meet an expert, where in that session, you people will talk through that problem and having a work session to look at that problem. We said the counselor in this process will help you to address your problems in a positive way by helping you to clarify the issues. You have come with issues, but you don't understand what those issues are all about. So the counselor will help you to clarify the issues. Two, it will help you to explore the options. Most often you are already taking a decision. But on the counseling table, when you clarify the issue and you begin now to have a kind of awareness, you have self-awareness. From that self-awareness, you really know what you are into. You really know why the decision that you are taking, how costly it may be or how beneficial it may be. And so the counselor helps you to explore the options and then develop strategies on how to handle the situation. And I already stated that most often you will never find a complete solution to your problem. The things will not change just because you went to meet a counselor. But most often counselors, through the lies that they through the insights that they give you, through the teachings, you will be able to kind of better understand your problem and know how to cope with the issue. And so we said many problems or cases in relationships, couples have learned to live with some issues. They learn to live with their issues. They cannot change it, but they will learn how to live with them. So the counselor helps you how to cope with that situation. And so here we understand that issues involving counseling are issues that is mainly with mental health, emotional health issues. So we have mental sickness, not in the sense of somebody is mad, but just in the sense like you can't just sort that in your mind. You can't just reason at your problem by yourself. So you go to the counselor who will help you to reason at your situation with you. And then, so counseling issues are issues of mental health or mental issues, and there are issues equally of emotional health, emotional issues. And that's where we came back to the course on emotional intelligence. That is very important. When you are emotionally balanced, your emotional intelligence quotient is high. You are balanced. It means that what? We said, reviewing the definition of emotional intelligence, the ability to deal with, to manage your own emotion constructively and positively. And then we say this is important because if you cannot manage and control your own emotions constructively, positively, for the benefits, to draw a benefit from there, then you cannot be able to help another person. So that aspect, that skill of emotional intelligence is very important because issues that people come with, they are issues that has to do with emotion. And so if you are not emotionally stable, when the person, if you have a problem with emotions, when the person comes presenting an issue of emotions, he is taking his decision based on emotion. I can no longer take this. I am done with this relationship. I am off. I don't want to hear anything. All of those kind of situations. If you yourself, you are not emotionally stable, even after hearing the issue, you may be drawn to the side of the person or the side of the emotion. You can easily be carried away by that emotion. So we said emotional intelligence, therefore, is very important in counseling. And so issues of counseling mostly are issues that involve psychology. And so is issues of mental issues, but I say it's also issues of emotions. But in this area, we're talking about Christian counseling. We said Christian counselors employ both the emotional aspects and the mental aspect as holistic beings. And so they offer solution on a holistic base. That is body, soul, and spirit. And that's why we have already highlighted the fact that sometimes after even exploring the issues, clarifying the issues, exploring the options, and increasing self-awareness in your counseling, when the counselor goes ahead now to develop strategies, to give strategies on how to cope with an issue, or that aspect of follow-up where you are now offering the real solution for the problem, we said this is where Christian counselors have an added advantage because they employ things like fasting and prayers. They employ things like journaling. They employ things like spiritual retreats. They employ different tools that the Word of God offers that a natural person cannot. And so this is also important as a Christian counselor because I highlighted the fact that in our Module 1, we learned the course on how to recognize and handle negative patterns in marriage. And we saw that many of the issues, they are not issues that you can reason them out. They are patterns that has a spiritual stronghold that can only be dealt with spiritually. And so only a spiritual person can handle that. And that it reminds us of the scripture. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 13 to 14, the Bible says that the spiritual things are foolishness to a natural man. So psychologists will never understand some things. He said, but spiritual things can only be understood by a spiritual man. who employ spiritual truth, interpreting spiritual truth to those that possess the spirit. So this is very important. To be a Christian counselor, we have an added advantage. So many of the techniques that we will be seeing and discovering, many of these techniques, they are psychologically based techniques. They are techniques that have been developed by experts in the field of counseling. And most often, they will always be limited. So, but a Christian counselor that has the gift of discernment, sometimes while just handling some cases, you have already an added advantage. Not to talk of if you are even prophetic. So you will be able to handle a lot of things. But why are we here in this school? Because some of these skills, these tools, they are very important. There are things that we all can employ on how to handle cases of counseling. Now, so we are going to look at some of these techniques today. And these techniques, you notice that they are mostly related with communication. Remember the skills or the qualities that we spoke of a good counselor. We spoke about the communication skill, ability to listen, ability to ask questions that probe, questions that are open-ended questions that will lead the counselor or the counselee to say even the things that he was not ready to say. So, and I try to relate again to the fact, even doctors, they use this kind of techniques to the point you go to the hospital for consultation, and then you have a problem, but the doctor cannot offer you anything unless he talk with you and start asking you questions. When do you start feeling this? When do you start having this? Is it a natural occurrences? Has somebody ever had this in your family? When? How are you feeling? All of this. And I said that some tactic of these doctors. I'm like, if you just know the thing, you are a doctor now. Just tell me my problem, prescribe the thing. But he cannot do that. He needs to talk with you and get to know your problem from the things that you tell him. So you discover that you leave your house coming with your own solution. Then he just interpret your solution and give back to you. Same with counseling. Because when people have issues that require counseling, sometimes because it has to do with mental or emotional issues, those emotions, they go on their over their brain. They can no longer reason. And because they can no longer reason, they cannot think squarely. They cannot think objectively. They become biased, not only on the other person, on themselves. They take harsh decisions. They are ready to do anything because of their ego, because of this or that. So, but meanwhile, sometimes after talking with the counselor, you realize that there was not really a problem. There was not even actually a problem. So they hug each other and then they leave your office, but they have to pay you for your services. And which services? The services that you just there talking and trying to. So we have already explored all of those keys that you employ in counseling. We have already explored all of those keys. So let me start with counseling technique number 1, narrative therapy. Counseling technique number 1 is the narrative therapy. The narrative therapy helps you to explore your problem discover a negative part and develop a new perspective to improve your relationship. Just the word narrative. It means you narrate the thing. You narrate your own problem. You narrate how the issue started. You narrate how the thing has been happening. And then the place of the counselor for this narrative therapy is to explore, try to discover the negatives in these things that you have narrated and develop a new perspective on how to improve your relationship. So this therapy sees people as the expert of their own life. We have already said that the decision is always in the hands of the counselee. Counselors do not take decisions for the counselee. And this therapy is saying that it views the people as the expert of their own life. But how does this therapy does? The therapy helps to build a narrative around your problem or a narrative around your life by connecting the various events happening in your life. So you learn what has been troubling you and your partner, and you find new solutions to resolve the problem. In other words, it can, in a narrative therapy, okay, when did you people start having a misunderstanding about your finances? How has it the children? How has it affected your building project? How is it affecting this? How is this? Then the narrative therapy is trying to connect the different. He builds a story. He's building a narrative around the things, the circumstances that are happening. And then when he connects the different aspects, he now discovers the negatives and develop a new perspective on how to handle that negative. He discovers a weakness and develop a new perspective on how to handle that weakness, to handle that issue, to resolve that problem. So that's the narrative therapy. You see, it's going back to communication. It's going back to talking and listening. Okay. I'll go to the next therapy. Emotionally focused couples therapy. Emotionally focused therapy. Emotionally focused therapy. Emotionally focused therapy is based on a concept that have been developed based on research. And the research says that the approach focuses on identification and expansion of primary emotional reactions. Develop a type bond. That is what? How? There is an issue. There is a problem. Now, from the narrative therapy, the person talks and you try to be a story or a narrative around the different things that are happening. But in the emotional focus therapy, the only new thing to the narrative therapy is this. The person, the expert or the counselor, is trying to identify the primary emotional reaction when problem started. Is focusing on when, because it's normal that there should be there can be misunderstanding. There is no relationship without misunderstanding. There is no issue is to handle that problem is your ability to understand each other as couples and master your problem, master your weaknesses or master whatever. So they say a devil that you know is better than the angel that you don't know. So somebody that you know, you can better cope or live with the person. Okay. So the problem is not that there are issues. The emotionally focused therapy, he focuses on when did this problem trigger emotions, affected the other person's emotions. So somebody can be in a relationship, they are in a marriage, they are living in one house, but suffering emotionally. So emotionally focused therapy, it focuses on the primary emotional reactions and then develop and try to resolve it by carrying out a new or positive interactions. So the key is trying to identify where the issue that started brought about a kind of poison in the emotions. The issue brought about corruption in the emotion. Okay, let me show you something. When people have been together or are together, they are emotionally connected. They are emotionally connected. Now, when something happens, and then maybe repeat itself, very soon, when the person discover that is as if the other partner was doing it intentionally, the difference where it now hit the emotion is that the information that the person has now received in his mind about what happened. So the problem is not about what happened. It's now how the person was able now to process what happened in his mind. How the person processed the issue in his mind, he now sends the information that he has in his brain or in his mind to his emotions. That you are with this person like that, the person is not with you. So there is now friction in the emotions. You can no longer flow. Things are no longer the way it was because why a certain kind of information has entered the person's mind. You understand now is going either the emotion or the mental. So emotionally focused therapy, it tries to identify the issue by identifying and expanding on the primary emotional reaction. I think that Mabia is getting me.
I'm getting you, sir.
Okay, good. All right. I move to the next point.
One more. Yes, I did not really get a clear definition of emotionally focused therapy. That very first phrase.
Don't look for definition. Emotional.
I understood it. I understood it. It's okay.
Yes. Look for understanding. Try to understand what I'm explaining. Because I'm using a lot of scenarios and things that may never be in the notes. Okay. To help you understand. Okay. So emotional therapy, I say this emotionally focused therapy is based on the concepts that have been developed by research. And those research is when you come before the counselor and you are presenting the issue, the counselor is trying to identify and expand on the primary emotional reaction in your problem. What trigger emotional dysfunction? What is the thing? What is the thing? What did the person say? What did your partner say that trigger emotional dysfunction? What is it that the person said? At one point was the person's emotion poison? One more, at what point did the person emotions kind of turn on in the negative side point? Okay. So I go to the next therapy, positive psychology. All of these things that I'm talking, there are things that you already know. It's the same thing when you go to the counselor. You are going with your own solution. He's only helping you to interpret what you already know, but you don't know that you know already. Okay, positive psychology. Positive psychology techniques helps you improve your relationship by focusing on your character strengths, positive emotion. So in every relationship, the positive psychology is like trying to push you to focus on the positive. Yes, this person has been doing this. Yeah, this person had done that. Yeah, this person had done that. Then he asks you, what? Can you remember anything good that this man has ever done to you? Or they ask you, try to count the good things that this person has done to you. Are they more than the negative things that he has done to you? So positive psychology helps you to recognize happy moments, concentrate on positive emotion, and liberate your stress. Look at this. Look at everywhere on Facebook, on social media, you hear people talking about positive energy. Positive energy. Even the posts, many of the posts that our coach Mommy Delphine post online, you discover there are issues. They talk about positive energy. And all these people, many of these guys, they call them who? Motivational speakers. They will tell you, believe in yourself, go to where you are celebrated, don't go to where you are tolerated. They will tell you, focus and go with the people that recognize your value, the people that appreciate who you are. Why? It's a positive energy. So that's positive psychology. And that positive psychology is saying that focus on the positives, focus on the advantages, focus on the good moments in your marriage, focus. So you will come with issues. The counselor will clarify the issues, explore the options, create awareness, and in developing the strategies on how to cope with it, it will tell you that they're my sister. So you wanna, so just because of one negative thing that this man has done, has canceled all the good things that the person has ever done for you. Positive psychology. They are trying to tell you that even though you are feeling the way you are feeling, it's better in here than going to start again over. You think that you will ever meet a very somebody that is just perfect? Positive psychology. And this is the work of the counselor, is to talk people up, not to talk them down. Is to inspire people and help them to see good even in bad. Remember Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes says that even in bad or evil, there is good. Okay, and next I'll go to the next point. Time is going on. I must finish this thing. Imago relationship therapy. Imago, like image. Imago relationship therapy. The Latin word imago means image and refers to the unconscious image of familiar love. It is Latin word for image, and it refers to the unconscious image of familiar love. So this therapy works on the belief that the discord or the problem in your marriage could be the result of some frustrations you have experienced in your childhood, such as feeling abandoned or criticized unreasonably. So this marriage counseling therapy is a blend of behavioral, spiritual, and Western psychological therapies. That is, they try to identify the root of negative behavior. They try to identify the root of negative behavior and emotions and help you communicate with your spouse to resolve the issues. Now, let me break it down. There are things that a person growing up, seeing the father and the mother doing. Maybe they are always quarreling, maybe they were fighting, maybe they are doing whatever. A child growing in that scenario is believed that the image is imprinted in the person's mind. So unconsciously, the person has those strongholds already in his mind. And that now in his own marriage, they begin to surface. And when they surface, the person's actions is based on his or her interpretation of her. It used to be with the father, it used to be with the mother in their own relationship. So he says, this therapy works on the belief that the issues in your marriage could be the result of some frustration you have experienced in your childhood. And those frustrations have never been edited. And because they have never been edited, you have carried them along into your relationship. It's what happened in most people. For example, I'll give you another example. Somebody was in a relationship and had a breakup. He has not yet healed from that relationship and enters another relationship. He's entering the new relationship with the emotions of that old relationship. He's entering the new relationship with the images and pictures of what happened or that took place in that old relationship. Have you ever heard people who say that men are the same? Have you ever heard people who say that women are the same? It's their unconscious image of familiar love. of things that have frustrations that have now been captured in their subconscious. And unconsciously or consciously, they begin to replay them in their new relationship or in their relationship. So that is the imago relationship therapy. I go to the next therapy, intimacy enhancement therapy. Intimacy enhancement therapy. Intimacy enhancement therapy is a therapy. This helps a problem between you and your partner when the real issue has to do with lack of intimacy. It is a therapy that is given or proposed when you and your wife issue it has to do with lack of intimacy. So the therapists help you befriend your spouse and show your affection. So in this therapy, the counselor, once in the process of clarifying the issues, exploring the options, creating awareness, he finds out that the issue at hand is an issue on the bed. What he does, he will offer this intimacy enhancement therapy, which is how to create an atmosphere that will enhance passion and love. An atmosphere that will connect your emotions once more, leading to kind of affection. So the counselor suggests you how you can get closer to your spouse. This, I'm just touching on that because there is a course probably going to be taken by Mommy, intimacy and passion in marriage. I think it's on the timetable. So that's it for intimacy enhancement therapy. The next, we see individual counseling. Individual counseling. Having seen all of the above, there are cases that one of the partner in the relationship is unwilling to go for couple therapy. One of the partner is unwilling to attend the counseling session. Then counseling is suggested to work out the relationship, to work out the marriage. In this case, the therapy or the counselor is forced now to deal with one person. Each partner can attend a marriage counseling session separately to help the therapist identify the cause of the conflict. So it's a situation where the tension is too much. They are not even ready to see each other. They are not even ready to sit on the same table. So individual counseling is now advice where you are going to counsel each of them individually and then still be able to deduce what the problem is. So it helps you identify the right kind of therapy your relationship needs. Okay. Now there is one therapy that was supposed to be number 1. I intentionally put her at the end. Because having gone through all these other therapies, we must have already touched on this one. It's called the Gottman method. The Gottman method. Gottman method is spelled Gottman. Gottman method. The Gottman method focuses on building the relationship through the various components. The Gottman method focuses on building the relationship through some components. Which are these components? 1, trust. You remember we have already seen on the course building trust for a lasting relationship. As one of the course, we have seen that. So Gottman method it employ the component of trust. The next component is commitment. We have also already seen in one of the course maintaining a positive outlook in marriage. That was the point, the course that we have already seen in our model 1 was building a positive outlook in marriage. Building and maintaining a positive outlook in marriage was something like that course. And it had to do with commitment. The key point that we spoke in that course was about commitment. Okay, the next component is sharing. The next component that Gottman employ is sharing. Sharing with your spouse, sharing with each other. And in the Bible, the word sharing has the same root word for fellowship, communion, and that root word is koinonia. Sharing. So Gottman talk about sharing. Now, there are another component that we have already seen in one of the therapy is positive perspective. Positive perspective is what I've already talked about in this as positive psychology. Positive psychology. Gottman again talk about conflict management. Conflict management. People have done that course, right? With Pastor Mirabe. Conflict management and resolution. Okay. So the Gottman method helps improve action and respect for each other, and thus bring both of you closer and keep the conflict discussions calm. So the Gottman therapy or the Gottman method helps improve affection and respect for each other, thus brings both of you closer and keep the conflict discussions calm. So Gottman method is trying to keep every tension under control by imploring all the other components that we have listed. trust, commitment, sharing, perspective, conflict management, etc. So far so good. We have seen the following techniques: Gottman method, narrative therapy, emotionally focused therapy, positive psychology, imago relationship therapy, intimacy enhancement therapy, and individual counseling method. Yes. Okay. So let me hear your questions and observation. Anything that you never understood or whatever you relate with. What can you relate with? In our next class, we are only going to look at some practical counseling tips. Practical counseling tips that counselors, experts employ using these techniques. Okay, let me hear you.
Yeah, Papa D, my question is on this individual counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that we have a problem between two persons and the other person refuses to attend the counseling and might be the cause of the problem, how do we now counsel now this individual that may not even be the cause of the problem but is living the problem?
Mm-hmm. A problem talk is half solved. So
okay,
just talking with the individual, understandably, maybe the other person already recognized that he is the cause of the problem and does not want to take responsibility. Yeah. Because he is already aware. Maybe he has a particular kind of time. But the individual coming to you for counseling that individual, you will be able to help the person to cope with the issue.
Okay.
Imagine I'll give you an example.
Yes.
A man is cheating and does not want to talk about the issue.
Yes.
And then you counsel the individual to let her make as if nothing is happening. But it will be difficult for her to do that on her own because she has an issue with emotion. But you, as an expert with the quality of emotional intelligence, you will now help her to manage her own emotion. You will now help her to clarify the issue, explore the options by making her see that is this thing really worth the fight? That there are some fight that you don't engage. For the sake of your marriage, for the sake of your children, you as a counselor, you have a way in which you assist and help her handle the issue.
Okay.
But that same on that therapy, I've said that sometimes it's not only the one, it's like the person is ready for counseling, but they don't want to meet. He does not want to meet, to sit on the same table with the girl, with the lady. They don't want to sit on the same table. So you counsel them individually.
Okay.
However, I got your question.
Papatia,
Okay.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My first question is under emotionally focused therapy. Like
Mm-hmm.
where you said when a new information enters another person's mind. Okay, what during the counseling session, when another person discovers that maybe I'm into this marriage, but the other partner is not into the marriage, how can you advise, how can you deal with that kind of situation?
I'll give you an example that is practical. I saw recently on social media. It's not something new that one of the old lions, indomitable lions, Jeremy Jitab, discovered that the 4 grown-up children that he had with the wife are not his children.
Abba.
After being in the relationship for marriage for many years, he just discovered they did what they call that test, DNA test,
DNA.
and discovered that yes, that the children are not his. Okay, now in this issue, the guy loved the children like his children because the children have grown up with him. He has been taking care of the children. He has invested in the children. He has an attachment and connection with the children. But the issue now is the information that has entered his mind. That information from the brain will communicate different signals to the emotion. Do you understand? So, in this emotionally focused therapy, you as a counselor, you are trying to reason out the issue. Do you think that this person really loves you? What happened before the person having those children and still living with you outside? It means that he didn't love you, all of that. Now, in this one, it's just natural. Like, it means that he loved but a different person. But in emotionally focused therapy, you are trying to kind of like bringing that issue of emotional connection. Is there love? Do you sense love? If there is no love, why there's no need staying in the thing? Or if there is no love, this is what you can do. We can do to build that love. Maybe love was from the beginning and afterward there was no love. It reminds me again of the definition I spoke to you about. A definition my white man professor taught me. He said in the school, he said, love is a thoughtful choice that leads to emotion. That love is a thoughtful choice that leads to emotion. It does not start with emotion. It means that you can love anybody when you thoughtfully make a choice. Love can be developed. So there is no kind of thing like I cannot love him or I cannot love her. No, you can. Love is developed. And mainly is developed, can be developed maybe on some positive vibes that you employ. For example, I talk about there was that therapy we talk about positive psychology, that it focuses on the positive, on the strength, on the happy moments. And those happy moments, it helps you to think of the person in a different way than if you are looking the person only on the negative side. Once you start rating or evaluating somebody or your relationship with somebody from the negative aspect that the person has been doing, counting your negative more than your positive, it will affect the emotion. Uncle Lady, do you understand how I'm trying to get you to
Yes, Papa.
emotionally focus
Yes.
therapy
Yes.
from those other different points?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Next, you have 2 questions.
Yes, Papa. Okay, the second one is under imago relation therapy. In a situation where somebody really grew up in an abusive family, like where you saw your father beat your mother, all those stuff, and then you are married today, anytime you have a little misunderstanding, you go back to what usually happens. It's like you want to be defensive because you think that maybe what happened might happen to you. Yes. So how can you somebody come out of that kind of situation?
By counseling. You come out from that situation, first of all, it just shows that you yourself, you even need counseling once you already observe that this is what was taking place in my the relationship of my parents. You grew up with this kind of background. His nature, the first thing, you need counseling. You just need counseling. And in counseling, they will help you to come out from that. And there is a process. There's something that a kind of deliverance that I do. It's called deliverance of the subconscious. Deliverance from the soul. And many people have issues there. They are issues of the soul. I'm doing deliverance with somebody. I don't like this or this. I hate poverty. This kind of lie I'm not used to. And then the person is still under control. So the person comes to himself and says, Papa, I'm not the one talking. But the person is saying that he or she is the one. So with that issue is very complicated. Those are where issues of madness, people are mad and all of that. It has to do with that also. So to deal with that, it's not just an issue that somebody is possessed with a demon, is possessed with this, you pray, a person manifests and come and no. There are people that have terrible identities, but it's from that strongholds. So it starts from this stronghold, the strongholds that the person had from the relationship where he was growing up with. Having frustrations, has gone through things and this and this and this and that. So there is another part of the person. There is another part of the person that until you deal with it, identify and deal with it, and sort out these frustrations, and let a person heal from them, he will always see things in the lenses of the things that has been happening. So just to answer you briefly, is what the Bible calls strongholds. So God has given us powers that are not carnal, but of stronghold, whereby we pull down every thought and bring thoughts captive to the knowledge of Christ when our own obedience is complete. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 from verse 3 to 5. So it talks about strongholds. Those strongholds there is not talking about what people think about strongholds. It's in the soul, it's in the mind. So anybody that has gone through, have those experiences, frustrations from the father or the mother, and how their marriage was, seeing how the mother will beat the father and do all of that, it builds strongholds. And those strongholds can develop into these identities that I'm talking about. Okay. So to answer you simply, as I've said, you need counseling. Such a person only needs counseling. You are in a relationship that was bad, and you are beginning another new relationship, you need counseling. You had a breakup in one relationship, you are thinking of another relationship, you need counseling.
Thank you, Papa D. Because I was almost faced with this relationship not healed and moving forward. One girl was just telling me about it today, that she just had a terrible breakup and she just found somebody that is helping her to, like, she wants to just be with the person so that she can forget, and the person too is just out from another one, so the two of them are just trying to help themselves. It's not even about love. So when you mentioned this point, I just went straight to her. I'm like, oh, so this is it. So tomorrow when I get to the shop, I have to talk to her at all cost.
Yeah, have you ever discovered that people that leave a particular church, they always click together?
Yes.
If I was in City of Wonders and you were in City of Wonders, then we left the church. I left different or you left different. Look everywhere, you see them always clicking.
Yes, people will be now like monitoring spirits.
It's as you always agree.
Yes. Yes.
Because you find a common place of agreement. And that common place of agreement is that you people both left a particular church.
Yeah. True.
But does that mean you are on purpose?
No.
It doesn't mean you're on purpose. So when you leave a relationship, I'm telling you, you will always find another angel. Once you leave another breakup in a relationship, the person that comes is always like an angel. You know why? Because you yourself, you will talk to the person. You will pour out yourself what you went through in the other one. And the person will be acting like an angel. Until the time comes when you discover that men are just the same. You understand that conclusion.
Yes.
But meanwhile, why you needed is counseling, so that you don't, at the end, you say men are the same. Okay.
Thank you, Papa.
Papa,
Yeah. We're talking Glorious Lady or Prophetess Love.
it's Glorious Lady. As we're talking, I just have this image in my mind. I usually see people who are hurt, like you know when you have an accident, you are bleeding. If you never bind your wound, or if you deny that you are bleeding, wherever you go, you bleed on whoever you meet. And stain
right.
wherever, because you are bleeding. So if you go never bind your wound, you will stain somebody. Whoever you come across, stain, because you are bleeding. So in the same way, when we are wounded, we need to bind our wounds. And depending on how deep it is, we know what kind of consultation we need to do. So sometimes we need to really go for even surgery. Sometimes we need to be going and dressing the wound over and over until it heals, and we know that we are healed. So it is the same when it concerns relationships. Once we jump into another relationship to heal from the past relationship, we will bleed on the other person, and there's nobody that will have a stain and will just be. So sometimes when you look at this world, it is just like people staining each other and moving around because everybody is sick.
Wow. I hear you. Your language is like a doctor. You are talking like a doctor. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. Okay. Let me hear somebody. Oh, our fire lady, Lady Laura, finally came on board.